Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. Today on the program, labor groups lament disappointing 40 peso increase in minimum wage for workers in Metro Manila. The Senate is expected to still push for legislated across-the-board minimum wage hike of 150 pesos. And later, has President Bongbong Marcos addressed the biggest concerns of the labor sector during his first year in office? Labor Undersecretary Benedicto Ernesto Bitonio Jr. and Federation of Free Workers Vice President Julius Cainglet join us live. Minimum wage earners in Metro Manila will receive an increase in their salary in mid-July, but labor groups are not celebrating yet. Although some groups consider the 40 peso increase as a small victory, they agree it is not enough to compensate for the rising cost of living in the region. Several senators believe the approved increase is inadequate, especially when compared to the proposed 150 peso across-the-board increase that received preliminary approval from a Senate panel in May. Now let's go straight to the source of the story, Dole OIC Undersecretary Benedicto Ernesto Bitonio. Yusek, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Ria, and good morning to our televiewers and listeners.
All right, we want to talk about, of course, this 40 peso wage hike in Metro Manila. There were mixed reactions to the announcement of this 40 peso wage increase. Labor groups call this an insult. They're saying it's not enough even to buy a kilo of rice. What's the Labor Department's response to that?
Ria, the regional tripartite wage boards considered the criteria for wage determination, particularly for minimum wage increases that is prescribed by law. And mainly these are the needs of the workers vis-a-vis the consumer price index, the capacity to pay of enterprises, and of course the imperatives of overall economic development in the region. As we all know, we are coming from a very acute period of our economy in our country, which was the pandemic. And we are in the process of recovering from that. And that is why the policy of the wage boards, as has always been, would be to adjust the minimum wage rates in a moderate and predictable manner so as to balance all the interests that are involved in this wage determination process.
Right, and it is always a difficult, delicate balance to strike. Could you take us through the process exactly of how a wage hike is determined, and is it the same process when that is done for the provinces?
Generally, it is the same process across the country. Wage increases may be initiated via a petition for wage increase filed by concerned groups. In this case, it is usually the labor groups that file a petition, or the wage boards themselves can initiate wage action even without a petition. A hearing is conducted whether or not there is a petition, because the wage boards are constantly monitoring the movement of prices of goods and services, particularly basic commodities. After a petition or after the wage board decides to consider a wage increase, it will undertake public hearings. And in this case, in Metro Manila, we don't have provinces, so the conduct of public hearings will be the composite cities of Metro Manila, while in the regions, the conduct of public hearings will be via provincial public hearings. And then after getting that information, the wage boards will then deliberate. The wage boards, Ria, are tripartite in character. We have government representatives, we have labor representatives, and we have employer representatives there. And together they make a decision considering the data that they get from the public consultations, as well as the official data provided by the Philippine Statistics Office, Philippine Statistics Authority. They deliberate and they come up with a decision. The members of the board for the government are the regional director of the Department of Labor and Employment, who is the chairperson of the board, and together with him are the Department of Trade and Industry Regional Director and the NEDA Regional Director. On the other hand, there are two members, each for employer and labor sectors. And these members are nominated by their respective sectors.
All right. Yusek, could you tell us how many more pending wage petitions or orders are there? Where are they being filed from, and what is their status?
Right now, the pending petitions are in Region 3, Region 4A, Region 6, and Region 7. And we anticipate that following the process that I have described earlier, the wage boards in these particular regions will be doing their public hearings and public consultations from the months of July, this month, through September. And wage action can be expected between this period.
All right. Now, Yusek, going back to Metro Manila, do you believe that 40 pesos is enough amid soaring inflation and the rising prices of goods?
I will change the question, Ria. The target of minimum wage fixing is minimum wage. The target is to help alleviate the situation of the lower skilled workers who are minimum wage earners. And of course, one could say that it's never enough. But in the end, the wage board, being a technical board with the expertise and reach of data and information that is available at its disposal, would have to make a determination taking into account not only the workers' concerns, but also the concerns of employers, particularly the small and medium enterprises, which do not have the capacity to increase wages as much as more profitable larger enterprises would have. So that's the context of minimum wage fixing. It is not a panacea or a response. It's not a panacea for rising prices. It is helpful. It helps alleviate the situation, but other factors need to be considered, Ria.
Right, and you already mentioned the employers there. So on the part of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, they say they will, of course, respect the wage order, but they're concerned about the SMEs, or the micro, small, and medium enterprises that comprise a big chunk of their members. What can the Labor Department do to cushion the impact of a wage increase on these SMEs?
That is why the amount of increase, Ria, was moderated in consideration of the situation of MSMEs. And if I may say this, in the Regional Tripartite Wage and Productivity Board, as I have mentioned earlier, the employers are represented, and they did vote for 40 pesos. They agreed with the 40 peso wage increase, taking into account the situation of the small and medium enterprises, which they also represent. So in the commission, in the National Wage and Productivity Commission, when the wage order was submitted by the National Capital Region Wage Board for affirmation by the commission, because that's part of the process, the representatives of the sectors and the government representatives were unanimous in affirming the amount that was given by the wage board. Now, Ria, the other part of your question is what can government do to help micro and small enterprises. If you will notice, the full name of the boards is Regional Tripartite Wage and Productivity Board. So the boards also have a function of helping enterprises improve their productivity through various programs. And as a matter of fact, we have recently concluded a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Trade and Industry to promote productivity, particularly in small and medium enterprises.
All right, now, Yusek, what kind, if any, what kind of non-wage benefits might be able to compensate for the small hike?
These are, when we say benefits, probably policies or actions. Some of these are not within the mandate of the Department of Labor. Let's say controlling prices, containing inflation. Those are not within the mandate of the Department of Labor, but this will help because these various measures, a combination of measures, will help in increasing the net take-home pay of workers. I would also add, Ria, that apart from minimum wage fixing, there are other mechanisms by which wages can be increased. Above the minimum wage, of course, employers and workers are encouraged by law to undertake their own measures in increasing wages, including collective bargaining. Because we believe that bipartite mechanisms are still the best and most efficient way of increasing wages above the minimum wage levels.
All right, Yusek, we do need to take a short break for now, but we will be back. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. Let's go straight to the source of the story. Dole OIC Undersecretary Benedicto Ernesto Bitonio. Sir, welcome back to the program. I want to talk about wage subsidy. Is this also an option for those who can't abide by the wage order but still don't fall under the exemptions?
Ria, I think that will need legislation. For it to happen, and we leave that matter to the wisdom of Congress, whether a wage subsidy is going to be pushed.
Right. Speaking of legislation, sir, labor groups are now calling for legislation to implement the increase in the minimum wage. On the part of the Senate, in principle, they've approved the 150 peso across the board hike. And at the lower house, there's a 750 peso minimum wage filed. What is the DOLE's position on these bills?
Ria, we have always followed the position that we will implement the law. And the current minimum wage mechanism is there. It was, incidentally, it was created by Congress as well. So we respect the wisdom and the prerogative of Congress to legislate. What we are going to do as the Department of Labor and Employment is to provide technical inputs based on the experience of the last 34 years. By the way, RIA, the National Wage and Productivity Commission, is celebrating its 34th year today. So we will provide them with inputs based on that experience, and it is for them to consider the inputs of the Department of Labor and Employment.
Right. So this comes at a very timely time, I guess. Now, onto a different topic, Yusek. The International Labor Organization director recently visited the Philippines. It was an official visit last week. Could you tell us about the discussions that went on between the ILO and the DOLE?
Well, we had discussions with the ILO Director General, not only during his visit last week, but also during the International Labor Conference in Geneva that was held last month. And we are encouraged that the Director General has visited the Philippines among the first countries that he was able to visit in his in the Asian leg of his visit, and he recognized the situation in the Philippines, the need for decent work, for more job creation, which is what the government is doing with its convergent policies. And also, he recognized the efforts of the government in addressing long-standing issues that have been brought to the International Labor Organization, particularly those issues relating to freedom of association.
Mm-hmm. Now, for the labor groups, they are also appealing for them to be included in the interagency body to look into labor cases created under Executive Order 23. Hindi daw po sila kasama doon. What's your comment on that?
Connecting that with the matter of the visit of the Director General, he has also intimated to us that he is not in favor of amending the current executive order number 23. If you look at executive order number 23, this is a government body, cabinet level, and it is charged with the performance of purely governmental functions of investigation, prosecution, and monitoring of actual cases. Be that as it may, Aria, the Interagency Council, which incidentally is headed by the Executive Secretary, Vice Chair, the Department of Labor and Employment Secretary, is not averse to inviting as dialogue partners the labor sector, so that they can also provide inputs to the process. If they have improvements to make, then the IAC will welcome those improvements and will continue to work with them, sharing information as may be necessary or allowed under the rules with them, so that we can together address the issues that the Interagency Committee is assigned to address, and which have been raised for a long time in the International Labor Organization. I am emphasizing that long-standing issues, Ria, because actually these have been issues that have been outstanding for years. Some of them starting back from 2008.
All right, sir. Now, one last question before I let you go po. It's been a year since this administration came to power. What are the major accomplishments of the Marcos administration on the labor sector over the past year?
In the labor sector, we have had various policies and programs that we have cobbled together within the framework, of course, of existing laws. We have emergency employment programs. We have human resource development programs, and it is good that the Department of Labor and that the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority has been realigned with the Department of Labor and Employment, because the matter of human resource development, skills training, particularly technical and vocational education and training, are very important factors in improving the opportunities of our labor sector. We have various interventions from all fronts: emergency employment, technical assistance, inspection. We are intensifying these regular programs of the Department of Labor so that we can make more meaningful contributions moving forward. Ria.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time. That was DOLE OIC Undersecretary Benedicto Ernesto Bitonio. And we will be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. Our source today, Federation of Free Workers Vice President Julius Cainglet. Julius, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Rian. Good morning to all of our listeners and viewers.
First, we'd like to get your reaction on the 40 peso minimum wage.
Well, I guess everyone has heard what the workers have to say. No, talaga pong kulang. It falls short of our expectations. And if the idea is to increase the wages of workers so they can cope with the very difficult, if they can get difficult living conditions, then 40 pesos is not enough at all. So, ang hinahabol nga po namin at the minimum, yung na-devalue na halaga ng ating sahod na umaabot ng 88 pesos ngayon lang panahon ng pandemya. Mahabol man lang yun at saka yung kabuang ibinaba ng talaga po ng ating sahod. Kaya po higit 100 pesos po yung ating hinihingi na wage recovery. And also in Congress, kaya po hinahabol natin ay 150 pesos na increase in wage. So talagang kulang na kulang po. Di makakabili ni isang kilo ng bigas na well-milled.
Right, so this increase of over 100 pesos, sa tingin nyo, kakayanin ba ito ng mga maliliit na kumpanya?
Well, kasama po dun sa ating proposal na inihahain din sa Congress, kailangan naman po talaga bigyan ng subsidy yung ating mga small and medium enterprises na una, ang bibigyan po natin ng ayuda, ng tulong, ay yung talagang mag-implement ng additional wage increases na ito. So, if they will implement the additional increase in wages and respect labor standard, respect workers' rights, respect yung ating karapatan ng union na mag-organisa ng mga unions at collective bargaining, then they should really be entitled to subsidies from government. So ayun po, hindi naman po natin sinasabi na it has to be a burden. Kailangan po nating magtulungan. Dapat pigilan natin yung cycle of social injustice. Ito pong tindi ng inflation natin na nag-peak sa 8.7%, nag-average na 7.5% ng January to May, ang dami na pong ipinangutang ng manggagawa para po makasurvive sa pang-araw. Kung hindi pa po nila makukuha yung sapat na hinihingi na increase, paano pa po nila mababayan taon na ito? Paano pa mabibigyan yung patayang pangangailangan ng kanilang pamilya? Kaya talagang napakahirap po ng ating buhay ngayon, kinakailangan po natin ng tulong sa gobyerno. Sa pangunahin sana kung maibigay itong 150 pesos na dagdag sa sahod.
So, Julius, that being the case, ano na yung next step sa part ng labor group? Since once a year lang ang wage petition, you'll be pushing for legislation, I guess?
Yes, actually, yung once a year na petition lang na pwede mag-submit ka mo. According to the wage rationalization, we were actually asking for an increase mid-year. No, nung January pa lang po, meron na po tayong ini-increase kahit June yung nakarang increase. That according to the law, kung may super bining events, we can ask for an increase even before the anniversary of the last wage increase. Meron po tayong super bining event economic disaster po dahil record high ng ating inflation. Pero hindi po yun bininig ng ating wage boards. They decided to wait it out para matapos yung isang taon tsaka po nila ginagawa. So left with no choice dahil nga po nakapaglabas na po sila ng decision at wage board. Of course, we are pushing for our legislated increase sa tulong po ng mababa at nakatataas na kapulungan ng Congress. So we support the petition. Nung una po lumabas yung 750 pesos na increase, we supported that. At nung lumabas po itong 160 pesos ngayon, both houses of Congress, we also support this dahil talagang kailangan po na magagawa ang dagdag na sahod.
All right. Now, Julius, you also had a meeting with the head of the ILO. Can you talk to us a little bit about the highlights of that meeting?
Well, when we met him, unang-una po, we actually invited him as early as December when we had the Asian regional meeting of the ILO in Singapore. There was a Philippine delegation that met with the ILO Director General, bagong sirang pa lang po siya nung panahon na yun. And he said one of the things he would consider was visiting the Philippines. And we really wanted him to visit the Philippines because we want him to see for himself yung pong patuloy na long-standing cases nga na tinatawag ng mga extrajudicial killings of workers among others, which number to 69 to 71 killings now since 2015, and hundreds of other freedom of association violations. No? Yung kung nagkakaroon ng abduction, yung nire-rectag, yung binibisita bumisita sa mga bahay nila. Ayun po gusto natin ipakita sa kanya na nangyayari pa rin po at this point in time na because of your union activities, you are still being tagged as communist or terrorist. No? So we want him to see that for himself para po mas bigyan ng diin yung pong mga recommendations na ginawa mismo ng high-level tripartite meeting. Kasi before the DG came here a week ago, as early as January, dumating na po yung ILO high-level tripartite meeting. And meeting with labor, government, and employers, one of their main recommendations was for government to come up with a presidentially mandated commission or presidentially mandated body, the tripartite in nature, so dapat may employers and workers representatives po yan, who will look into the different violations of freedom of association provisions that we have. So, yung po yung main na pinupush ko na sa kanya dahil ito pong mga kaso, paglabag sa karapatang union, dapat po nang matigil. Dapat malaya na po tayong pagtatag ng mga union na wala pang pumipigil sa atin. At syempre po, ibinida rin po natin sa Director General na meron po tayong labor agenda. Sa labor agenda po natin, we want an end to contractualization. We want a security of tenure law for both private and public sector workers. We want a wage hike. We want a nationally mandated we want a nationally mandated hike dahil we think that the regional wage setting mechanism is already passé. Pare-pareho na po ang presyo ng mga bilihin sa ang dako ka man ng Pilipinas. So, wala ka nang masasabi na mas mahirap sa probinsya kumpara sa NCR dahil kung tutuusin niya for specific products like gasoline, for example, mas mahal lang nga po sa probinsya.
So what was his reactions, Julius, to all these things that you put forth about what your groups wanted?
The Director General met with workers prior to the meeting with the President. So what he told us is that he will bring to the President our concerns and our issues. So we were banking on that. We were hoping that we really did that kasi ang close door yung meeting nila, hindi po namin narinig. But we got that commitment from the Director General, and we know that he would not contradict the recommendations of the ILO high-level tripartite mission that came here in January.
All right, thank you so much for your time. That was Federation of Free Workers Vice President Julius Cainglet. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. You're watching CNN Philippines.